Welcome to your deep dive.
Oh, hey.
So you sent in a ton of stuff on networking,
Yeah.
especially Diane Darling's book, The Networking Survival Guide.
You got it.
Looks like you're really serious about leveling up your connections,
Yes.
thinking career change,
Could be.
a new industry maybe,
Maybe.
or just mastering this whole networking game.
The whole thing, yeah.
Whatever your goal,
Uh-huh.
think of this as your personalized playbook,
Okay.
built from what you provided.
Awesome.
Most people think networking's all about charisma.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
But Darling's book flips that on its head.
Really?
Like, she's saying, forget the born networker myth.
Uh-huh.
This is a skill you learn
Okay.
and hone
I like that.
like driving.
Like driving.
I like that.
Yeah.
Ditching the myth.
Yeah.
So it's not about
Right.
some magical gift of gab.
No.
It's about putting in the work.
Putting in the work.
Exactly.
Anyone can learn to drive.
That's true.
But some become race car drivers.
Yeah.
Because they master
Right.
the mechanics.
And
Networking's the same.
Okay.
Practice and understanding the different gears,
Interesting.
as the book calls them.
Yeah.
And it all starts with a support network.
Support network.
Almost like a pit crew for your
And
networking journey.
Okay.
Hold on.
Yeah.
A support network for networking.
For networking, yeah.
That sounds intense.
Well, think about it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't go to a driving test
Right.
without practice.
Hmm.
Right.
Right.
The book says
Yeah.
prepping for networking
Ah.
can be just as detailed.
Okay.
Maybe it's a wardrobe consultant
Uh-huh.
to nail that first impression,
Oh, I see.
a presentation coach
Mm-hmm.
for your elevator pitch,
Okay.
or even acting classes
Whoa.
to boost your confidence.
Acting classes.
Now that's an aha moment.
I know, right?
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Tell me more about this
Okay.
networking pit crew idea.
Yeah, so Darling even cites a Yale study
Okay.
where they found something as simple as a bad hair day
Really?
can tank your self-esteem.
Interesting.
Little details matter.
Yeah,
It all feeds into
I see.
how you present yourself.
Right.
That initial confidence boost
Mm.
when you walk into a room.
So it's about building that foundation
Yes.
before you even start networking.
Or even start.
But is showing up really enough?
You know,
Okay.
not according to Darling.
Okay.
She's all about active networking,
Yeah, okay.
building relationships
Mm-hmm.
that benefit both sides.
I see.
It's not about collecting business cards,
Right.
like trophies.
Yeah.
It's more like depositing good vibes in your net bank.
Ah, the net bank concept.
Yes.
That was a light bulb moment for me in the book,
Okay.
like a financial bank. But you're storing favors and goodwill you've built with people.
Exactly.
Help someone out.
Yeah,
It's a deposit.
it is.
Need a favor.
It's a
Withdrawal.
That's right. And just like a bank,
Okay.
you don't want to be constantly overdrawn,
No.
right?
Right.
Studies show people who actively give
Okay.
to their network
Uh-huh.
see a 20% increase in career opportunities
30%?
and a 10% higher salary on average.
Wow.
It pays to be a good net bank customer.
That's huge.
Yeah,
Okay, so it's about giving as much as you get.
exactly.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But how do you actually do it strategically?
Well, Darling splits it into two types:
Okay.
strategic and serendipitous networking.
Okay. Two types.
Strategic is planned.
Okay.
You're targeting specific people for specific reasons.
Makes sense.
But what's cool is
Yeah.
being good at strategic
Uh-huh.
actually makes you better
Okay.
at serendipitous.
I see.
Those chance encounters.
So it's like, yeah.
Training for a marathon
Uh-huh.
makes any run easier,
Yeah, exactly.
even an unplanned one.
Right.
I get it.
Yeah.
But how do I know
That's a good question.
which opportunities are worth my time?
Right.
I can't be everywhere.
Of course not.
Right.
So that's where Darling's weather reports come in handy.
Weather reports.
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, before you commit to an event or organization,
Okay.
you ask yourself a set of questions
Oh.
to see if it's truly aligned with your goals.
So like what kind of question?
Things like,
Happy
is
to-
the host reputable in my field?
I see.
Will the attendees be people I want to connect with?
Okay.
Is the location convenient? And does the cost
Mm-hmm.
justify the potential benefit?
Oh, so it's about being intentional,
Yes,
not just going through the motions.
exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But what about introductions?
Introductions.
I always struggled with
Knowing when to ask for them,
Right.
or if they even matter.
Oh, they're crucial.
Really?
Especially according to the Sandler Sales Institute.
Okay.
Their research found that cold calls
Yeah.
have a measly 1 to 5%
1 to 5%.
success rate in sales.
Okay.
But get this,
Okay.
a personal intro through email
Uh-huh.
bumps that to 50%.
50%.
And if the introducer's at the meeting,
Wow.
it's over 80%.
That's incredible.
It is.
Wow. Those are crazy stats.
They are.
That really highlights the power
Yes.
of a warm connection
Right.
versus just going in cold.
Absolutely.
I never thought of it that way.
Uh-huh.
It's almost like I have a responsibility
It's true.
to be a good connector for other people too.
Absolutely. Networking is a two-way street.
Right.
Remember?
Yes.
And the more you become known as
Yeah.
someone who connects others, the more valuable you become
I like that.
to your network.
Yeah. It's like a ripple effect.
Okay, so we've got this net bank in mind. We're being strategic
Yeah.
about where we show up.
Right.
But once we're there,
Uh-huh.
how do we actually act?
That's the next step.
Okay,
So much more to cover.
great.
We'll get there.
Okay,
Stay tuned for part 2.
coming up.
All right, so we talked about being strategic with events, having our net bank mindset,
Right.
but it feels like
Yeah.
there's a whole other world of networking
Yeah.
beyond just
Yeah.
those organized gatherings.
You're hitting on something key here.
Okay.
Darling's book emphasizes that. You're always presenting yourself,
Okay.
whether you realize it or not.
Interesting.
It's like every interaction is a chance to network, even if it's not a formal event.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not like we suddenly turn networking mode
Right.
on and off.
No.
So how do we make sure we're presenting the best version of ourselves, even in casual settings?
Darling dives deep
Okay.
into nonverbal cues,
Nonverbal cues.
body language, voice tone,
Okay.
even the words we choose
Right.
all contribute to the impression we make.
I see.
Like, remember how the book talked about the history of handshakes,
Oh, yeah.
going back to ancient times as a way to show you weren't armed?
I loved that bit of trivia.
I know, right?
It makes you realize that
Okay.
even a handshake
Yeah.
has so much meaning behind it.
It does.
But does that really matter?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Think about it.
Okay.
A firm handshake
Uh-huh.
still conveys confidence
Right.
and professionalism.
I see.
It's that split-second judgment
Yeah.
we all make,
Yeah.
even subconsciously.
That's true.
Darling even suggests
Yeah.
practicing with friends
Okay.
to make sure you're not giving a dead fish
A dead fish.
or a bone crusher.
Oh, right, right. You know, I've actually received feedback that my
Right.
handshake is too weak.
Oh, no.
I never realized
Yeah, no.
how much it could impact
It can't.
someone's perception of me.
It does.
Okay, so I've got the handshake down.
Okay.
But then how do you actually start a conversation
That's a good question.
with someone new?
Right.
Especially if you're not at an event with a built-in topic.
Darling recommends
Right.
having a few neutral conversation starters
Oh.
in your back pocket.
Like, well,
Things like, how do you know the host?
oh.
Or what brought you here tonight?
Right.
Can work in a lot of situations. But she also stresses that
Yeah.
it's not just about the questions you ask.
Okay.
It's about how you listen.
That's so true.
Isn't it?
I've been in conversations
Yeah.
where the other person is just waiting for their turn to talk.
Right.
Not actually listening to what I'm saying.
Right.
Darling calls that active listening.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
What are some ways to actually do that?
Active listening
Uh-huh.
is about more than
Okay.
just hearing the words.
I see.
It's about paying attention
Okay.
to their body language, asking clarifying questions, and showing that you're genuinely interested.
So it's about...
It's about making the other person feel heard,
Right.
which builds rapport
Okay.
way faster
Yeah.
than just trying to be impressive yourself.
I think that's something I need to work on. I have a tendency to get so excited about
Yeah.
sharing my own ideas
Right.
that I sometimes forget to
Yeah.
really listen to the other person.
Yeah.
But what about the flip side of that?
Okay.
How much should you actually share
Oh, that's a good question.
about yourself
Yeah.
when you're first getting to know someone?
That's where the oversharing trap comes in.
Oversharing.
Darling cautions against
Yeah.
dumping too much personal information on
Right.
someone you've just met.
Okay.
Networking is about making connections,
Right.
not necessarily
Okay.
becoming best friends overnight.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You don't want to scare someone off
Right.
being too intense.
Exactly.
So it's about finding that balance
It is.
between being open and friendly
Mm-hmm.
without going overboard.
Yeah.
But what about when you do need to move on?
Okay.
I'm always worried about
Uh-huh.
seeming rude
Yeah.
if I end a conversation abruptly.
Darling has some great tips for graceful exits.
Like what?
Remember that trick of
Yeah.
inviting someone to join you for another activity?
Oh, yeah.
That works wonders.
Okay.
Or you can simply be
Mm-hmm.
upfront and honest.
Okay.
Something like,
Okay.
it was great chatting,
Mm-hmm.
but I promised myself I'd mingle a bit more.
Yeah.
Let's connect later.
That's much better
The
than making up some lame excuse
Exactly.
about needing to use the restroom.
Yes.
It's direct,
Uh-huh.
polite,
Mm-hmm.
and leaves the door open
Exactly.
for future interaction.
Yes.
I like it.
Good.
But what about when you're at an event
Yeah.
and you just don't feel like networking?
Oh, yeah.
We've all been there.
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes
Yeah.
the thought of striking up conversations with strangers
Yeah.
feels exhausting.
Yes.
And that's perfectly normal.
Okay.
But remember
Yeah.
what Darling says about fear.
What's that?
False evidence appearing real.
Right.
So it's about
Yeah.
challenging those negative thoughts
Okay.
and recognizing that
Yeah.
they might not be based on reality.
Exactly.
And,
Yeah.
sometimes those mental blocks are about
Yeah.
more than just the event itself.
Okay.
It could be that
Yeah.
you're not feeling confident
Yeah.
about your networking pitch,
Right.
or you're unsure of
Yeah.
how to connect what you do
Okay.
to the people you're meeting.
Right.
That's something we can definitely unpack.
Okay.
What are some of the specific challenges you face
Yeah.
when it comes to
Yeah.
feeling ready to network?
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned the networking pitch because that's something I've always struggled with.
Really?
I never know how to succinctly explain what I do
Yeah.
without sounding either too vague or too jargony.
Right.
And then I start to overthink it.
Oh, I know.
And that's when the whole,
Yeah.
I don't feel like networking feeling sets in.
It's so common to
Yeah.
feel that way.
Oh.
And Darling
Mm.
actually addresses this directly.
Okay, good.
She says, don't think of it
Okay.
as a pitch.
Uh-huh.
Think of it as a story.
Okay. Yeah.
People connect with stories,
Right.
not bullet points
Yeah.
of your accomplishments.
That's a good reframing.
Yeah.
So instead of
Right.
listing off job title
Right.
or skills,
Right.
I should focus on
Yeah.
the narrative of my career journey and
Right.
what makes me passionate
Yeah.
about my work.
Yeah. What's the problem you solve?
Oh.
That's the impact you make.
Oh, okay.
Weaving those elements into your story
Yeah.
makes it way more engaging
I see.
and memorable.
Right.
And it takes the pressure off,
Yeah.
feeling like you need to have this perfectly polished elevator pitch.
That makes so much sense.
I know, right?
I'm definitely going to try that.
Awesome.
But what about those times
Oh, yeah.
when the negative thoughts
Right.
just take over
Mm-hmm.
and you can't seem to shake them?
Darling has a few strategies for that, too.
What?
Remember the networking buddy
Oh, yeah.
we talked about?
Mm-hmm.
Having someone to support and encourage you
Right.
can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
You can practice your story
Okay.
with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Role play, different networking scenarios,
I like that.
and even just vent your anxieties.
I love the buddy system idea.
Yeah,
It's like having a
Yeah.
cheerleader in your corner
absolutely.
reminding you that
Oh, yeah.
you got this.
Yeah.
But even with a buddy,
Mm-hmm.
there are still those moments when you
Right.
just feel like
Yeah.
hiding in a corner
Uh-huh.
and avoiding
Yeah,
any human interaction.
I get that.
Any advice for those situations?
One thing Darling suggests
Okay.
is to shift your focus outward
Outward.
instead of worrying about
Yeah.
how you're coming across.
Mm-hmm.
Try focusing on
Okay.
how you can help others.
Okay.
Maybe you can offer a compliment,
Uh-huh.
share a helpful resource,
Right.
or simply listen attentively
Mm-hmm.
to what someone else has to say.
That's such a good point.
Right?
When you're focused on offering value to others,
Yeah,
it takes the pressure off yourself.
exactly.
And allows you to connect
Right.
in a more genuine and authentic way.
Exactly. And,
Mhm. Yeah.
sometimes just showing up
Uh-huh.
is a victory in itself.
Okay.
Even if you don't make a million connections
Right.
or land your dream job that night,
Right.
you're still putting yourself out there,
Yes.
expanding your comfort zone
Ah.
and building those networking muscles.
It's about progress,
It is.
not perfection.
Absolutely. Yeah. And remember, networking is a journey,
Okay.
not a destination.
I see.
It's about building relationships, fostering connections,
Right.
and creating a network that supports
Yeah.
your goals and aspirations over time.
This deep dive into the networking survival guide has been incredibly insightful.
It has.
We've covered so much ground.
We have.
From practical tips to mindset shifts.
Right.
And I feel like I have a whole new perspective on networking.
It's been amazing to unpack these ideas with you.
It has.
And remember,
Yeah.
you don't have to do it alone.
Right.
Find your networking buddy.
Okay.
Practice your story. And most importantly,
Yeah.
be kind to yourself along the way.
And as Darling says, what's the status of your net bank?
That's the question.
Are you making those deposits and building those connections?
It's an ongoing process.
Remember, the most valuable network isn't necessarily the biggest, but the one that is most meaningful and supportive.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
You got it.
We'll see you next time
Sounds good.
for another exploration. Fascinating insights.
We'll be here.
Yeah.